Yogis, welcome to your Maya Align Ray of Light. Today's practice, our peak posture that we are working with is an Uthitta Parsvakonasana. And broken down, that Sanskrit term means Uthitta, that first component of the word, is extended or stretched. Parsva is side, and Konasana. Kona is angle and asana is pose. So it's an extended side angle pose. Now this week we've been working with the Dharma of clarity, and we've been working with the Dharma of light, bringing light to ourselves, our being, our frustrations, our confusions, our binds. We've been working with a whole heap of bound postures, and today is another bound posture. So a strap or a belt will come in super handy depending on how you're feeling today. If your chest and shoulders are feeling reasonably open, you may not need the strap, but have it there handy just in case, so it's there at the reach, and we'll place that one at the top of the mat. Really important in today's practice to get the hips, the knees, the spine, and the chest and shoulders really nice and warm. So although it's an alignment class, we're actually going to begin in a gentle little flow to help increase some warmth, some body temperature, and some mobility and range of motion to the joints that we're working with today. So if you would like to go ahead and begin in a tabletop position for today, setting yourself up to ensure that you've got space either side of the mat, around the mat, and take the knees just as wide as the hips, setting yourself up in that alignment so that the thigh bones run directly in alignment and parallel with each other, but directly in alignment below the asis, those bony points of the pelvis. Once you've set yourself up, the hands are below the shoulders, and we'll start off with just a couple of rounds of straight line, traditional cat-cow to begin sinking in movement with breath and to begin awakening the joints, the muscles, and the ligaments of the body. Our ray of light is a play on words, as the ray of light translates from the pose Marichyasana, which is a seated, bound meditation posture. And the sage Marichi is the one that we've been working with this week to draw from the lessons, to draw from the light. And this sage's humble beginnings as he was brought into this world via the mind of Brahma, the god of creation. And as we create on the mat today some movement, feel free to begin moving rather than just straight up and down the mat now in any other free-flowing moves that feel good for your spine. So maybe taking some figure eights, some circular motions, maybe drawing the hips back towards the heels and maybe opening through the front of the pelvis. As you take these beautiful big releasing moves, feel as though those dark parts of ourselves, we're working with those points within our pelvis, our shoulders, our hips, our joints, to invite in the light. We're calling in that light today, the ray of light. Let's settle into stillness. Get my shirt tucked out of the way first. And then we'll find ourselves pressing back to a nice gentle down dog. Tuck the toes, send the hips to the sky, and invite the belly back towards the thighs as you melt the heels back towards the mat. Playing with that height of the heels and then the embedding of them back down towards the mat to feel into the length through the back body. You can take a pedal out of these heels and rock them one at a time, swaying side to side. Now, often when we take this pedal of the heels and we take the walk out rocking it side to side, we tend to keep both feet connected to the mat and simply sway through the hips. I'm going to take that a step further today and draw one of those feet from the mat and really sink back into that single side. And then rock it across to the other side, melting into the heel. Release one foot and draw all the way back into that down dog. With each single side that we take, playing and exploring a little further, and this time opening the hip from this point to find that beautiful release through the knee, through the front of the hip, closing off the hip, reset it back up, switch it and take it to the other side. Releasing the load, taking the heel towards the sit bone, open the knee to find that scorpion and take the knee to the sky, the heel to the hip. Square it off and draw through center, plant the foot, and then let's ripple through and find that tabletop position once more. Dropping the knees, release the toes, and we're going to sink the hips back towards the heels and find our first Balasana. Your Balasana is such a beautiful restorative position, but today I do want you to take it reasonably actively. So we're going to be extending those fingertips towards the front of the mat and reaching and walking them out step by step to find length through the side body, but also feel into that compression of belly onto thigh. The posture that we're working towards today, our peak posture, our Uthitta, Parsvakonasana, requires a lot of length and a lot of spaciousness through the side body. I'm going to bring tunes up a little on my end, and we're going to find some fluidity and some flow through the side body now. Feel free to do the same your end, and we'll meet back in that Balasana, taking one more breath. Deep inhale, back it off. Exhale, sink into the thighs, forehead towards the mat, and draw to ripple and find that tabletop pose. Tuck the toes, take a breath in, plank. Hips to the sky, send the heels back towards the mat, and draw the belly back towards the thigh. Load into that left foot, and take the bend of that knee, drawing the heel towards the sit bone, just as we did before. This time, as you open into that scorpion and draw the knee to the sky, we're taking that rotation, that twist, all the way through to gaze underneath that right armpit. Looking for that long line of energy from the right wrist here, all the way to the right knee. As you draw back to square it off and find center, we're going to plant the right foot and now release the right hand and draw it across the body to open and gaze under the left armpit. Switching and feeling into that opposing point. So still resting on those 3 points, but rather than 2 hands, 1 foot, we're now resting on 2 feet, 1 hand. Draw it back to center, plant the right hand, ripple through, feel into that plank. We're going to drop the knees and then slowly lower down into our 8-point plank, inviting the chest and the chin towards the mat. Stay for a breath, hips stay nice and high, feeling into that release through the belly and the low back. As we release the toes and ripple through center to find that baby cobra, we're going to take the hands a little wider, press into the hands and draw up into a gentle cobra to begin. Some softening through the chest, through the elbows, feel into a gentle sway. We'll take a side body release here too as you draw back down onto the mat. We're going to press into the left hand and draw to rise. And that right hand takes a reach towards the front of the room. We're soft in that left elbow and just feel into that length from your right fingertips all the way through to the right side of the hip. Reset. Draw back down, hands beside the body, nice and close to the rib cage. And we'll draw back through that cobra to ripple into our Balasana. Open through the low back, forehead meets the mat. Let's take it back to that tabletop position. Tuck the toes and find plank pose. We'll take it to the left side as you take your down dog once more. Stay for a breath. Your exhale, drawing the belly back towards the thighs. This time load into that right foot and simply release the toes on the left, tucking the heel towards the sit bone. Stay here for a moment and enjoy that release through the back of the right leg. Let's open that left hip now. And as you do open up into that scorpion, we're taking that rotation, that revolved position with the spine to gaze under the left armpit. Active through that left leg as you draw actively towards the buttocks and find that length through the entire left side body. As you square it off and draw back through center, we now plant the left foot, our 3-point dog as we release the left hand, draw across the body, feel into that twist and now gaze under the right side. Beautiful big rotation and release through the back of the left body. Stay for one more breath. Left hand draws back to mat. Take that ripple, find plank pose. We'll drop the knees and find 8-point plank once more, releasing the toes. Invite the chest and the chin down towards the mat. Stay for a moment. Ripple through that midline, through center, connect to your baby cobra and press into the mat and feel into some movement, inviting some flow into the spine as you take a little ripple and a roll side to side, maybe finding a circular or figure 8 action. And this time as you melt the belly back, we're now setting up on that right hand towards the top of the mat. You're going to be pressing in to rise, loading into that right side, and take a release through the left. Soft bend in that right side, reaching with the left arm, finding length through that left side body. Inhale, slowly soften, melt the belly back to the mat, press into the hands. And we'll draw through cobra to take the hips all the way back to the heels to open the low back. And feel back into your Balasana. Beautiful. Slowly slide the hands back towards the knees and we'll meet back in a hero pose at the back of the mat. Exploring a few of these postures today and working with our binds. We're going to be taking one more posture here from hero and then we'll get out of the feet. So draw the knees back together and feel into that compression for just a moment. And that little bit of pressure and compression is a really good thing. It invites blood flow. It invites an increase of blood volume to this area that we're looking to compress. We're going to be relying quite heavily in our peak posture today on the balance and on the stability, and therefore we want to encourage that flow too. From our seat here, we're going to be drawing into rise, so press into the shins and the tops of the feet. We'll take a sweep both hands as we draw to rise, open into a gentle back bend. And as you exhale and come back to that seat, we'll connect the right fingertips beside the hips today. So just tenting those hands, facing the palm towards the front of the room. And take a reach and extend, open the left palm to the front of the room. As you inhale and draw to rise, it's going to be a gentle twist as you reach towards the back of the room. And as you exhale and sink down back into the seat, find the spine nice and even. Making any adjustments you need. If you want to go a little deeper, we're taking it twice more. You can stay in the hand or you can draw down into the elbow. Find an inhale and open through that left side. Exhale, sinking hips back to the heels. One final variation, either staying in the hand, working with the elbow, or if you want to take the hand to the back of the low back, the back of the pelvis, as you inhale and rise, we're going to slide that right hand down and deepen into the posture a little more. And as you exhale, chin draws back to chest and find your seat. Stay for a breath, coming back to balance, coming back to find yourself centered. Let's take that across to the other side, working with these diagonal lines. Left hand beside the hips. Prepare, extending the right arm, open the palm. Inhale, draw to rise, pressing into those left fingertips, the shins and the top of the feet. Exhale, take your seat. Stay in the tented fingertips or drop down into the elbow. Inhale, draw to rise, find that beautiful deep opening. Exhale, sinking back to your seat. Staying with your variation, third and final time, either progressing or staying with one of those options. Hand to the low back, the hip. As you inhale to open, need to get some tuck and release out of my mic. Let's slide the left hand down the back of the leg and deeply back bend now. Exhale, chin into chest. Draw back to your seat and let's get out of these legs. Extending both feet to the front of the room. And find a little shake out with the legs, encouraging blood flow back in now that we're out of the compression. Let's draw the right knee in and give it a beautiful big hug and squeeze. Hold it nice and tight, find the spine nice and long. When we wrap the arms and take a cross or a hold, this in itself is a bind when we're using one part of our body to connect to another, to create a seal, a lock. And just like a mudra, we're connecting one part of ourself to another, using our body like a tool, an instrument. Let's take an inhale and elongate the arms. As you exhale, pour forwards, internally rotate, take a sweep around and give yourself a hug. Maybe finding a connection of the hands to find yourself in your Marichiasana A, your ray of light. We're here for one breath. Inhale, create length through the spine. Exhale, pull forehead down towards the knee. As you inhale and release out, we'll sweep the hands once more nice and high. And this time as you exhale, we're going to release that right knee out to the side and draw the right hand beside the hip once more, this time planting the whole hand. And we'll take a lift with that left side, drawing to the sky, and then sending the hand behind the head, back bend, and this time in that beautiful long Parsvakonasana shape. As you exhale, we're going to roll around that midline, closing off. Inhale, open with the breath, taking that revolution through the spine and squaring off the shoulders to the sky. And twice more, exhale, close off, draw down. Inhale, open it up. And final time as you close it off, we're going to draw back to the seat and sweep all the way back around, collecting the knee as you do so. And give yourself a hug and squeeze once more. We'll progress that just a step further with our Marichiasana. And we'll take now that right foot over the top of the left. Draw the left around. And we'll take a closed stretch this time, a closed twist. That last one was nice and open. Hugging the knee in once more. Just as before, but this time we're drawing it across the body rather than staying in that alignment. Right knee previously was drawn to right shoulder. You're now working to draw that right knee towards the left shoulder. And from here, we're pressing into the tops of our left foot and the sole of our right. Find that release and find the length through the spine once more. But this time, as you exhale and take your twist, your right hand becomes your anchor in your spine. Your left elbow draws outside the right knee to take the twist. Gaze over right shoulder. Stay here one more breath or find the bind. As you internally rotate that left arm, feed through the window, and maybe take the bind of hands behind the low back, gazing over right shoulder. Releasing out of the bind or out of your anchor. Draw back, elongate the arms. Find that extension once more with the left leg. Right foot draws back. Give yourself a hug and squeeze, find length. Let's take an extension of the right. Closing out our seated postures with the left side now. We've just taken the right. Left knee draws all the way in. Find the sole of the foot meeting the mat. Left knee to left shoulder. Give yourself a beautiful big hug and squeeze. As you use your body as a tool, create length through the spine and lift up out of the seat. A little bit of space between that left sit bone and the mat. When you feel ready, when you feel stable, elongate the arms, extend to the sky, take a breath. Active through that right leg as you pour through the inside of that left leg, reaching forwards for your Ardha Paschimottanasana. Internal rotation of the arms. Wrap it around the leg to give yourself a hug and squeeze. Find the bind. Fingertips connecting, hands connecting, or maybe the strap or the belt if you're close. Stay for our breath, create space, back it off just a little. Maybe gazing over the right shoulder. As you exhale, pour down forehead towards the knee. Your Marichyasana A. Inhale, draw to rise. As you release the bind, we roll now that left knee out to the side, rolling and pivoting over the outer blade of that left foot. And plant the left hand, the whole palm this time beside you. I'll need a little more space for mine. And taking now that right hand to the sky as you draw out of the seat, find space, lift the pelvis to the sky, and then release to the back of the room and open, squaring off the shoulders to the sky. Hang the head nice and heavy. We're going to be drawing over to take that revolved position, squaring off the shoulders towards the mat. Inhale, slowly drawing to open. We work with our breath here to take this, tilt forwards with the body, gazing down onto the mat. Inhale, open it up, squaring off heart to the sky. And final time, exhale, roll it forwards, sweeping back to your seat. As you draw back to center, collect that left knee, drawing it back up to the sky, and take it across the body. Let's release now that right foot all the way back to find a tuck. So that right foot simply tucking in towards the hip. And we'll now give ourselves a beautiful big hug and squeeze with that left knee across the body, drawing it towards the right shoulder. Already feeling into that little bit of a bind and also that gentle twist. Maybe as you find your seat here, you gaze over the left shoulder. And from here, let's release out of the grip, feeling into the stability of our seat. Take the hands to the sky. Spinal twist, left hand becomes the spine. Right elbow draws over the top of that left knee. And take it into that rotation, that twist at the spine. And we'll stay for a breath as you are, or internally rotate the right hand and feed it through the window, maybe finding the bind with that left hand or reaching for your strap, your belt. And drawing the gaze over the left. One more breath. And let's release the bind. Draw back to center. Extend the right leg. And draw that left foot back over and give yourself one more hug here, finding yourself centered. Finding the shoulders squared off. Finding the hips squared off. Let's extend that left leg. And we'll find a bridge to open through the pelvis. And from here, the legs both active. Coming back into that staff pose, we'll inhale and reach to the sky. Sweep the hands behind you, rotating inwards, palms to meet the mat, fingertips towards the hips. Point the toes, and as you press into the heel and rise to form that bridge, we'll hang the head nice and heavy and open through the chest. For today, we're going to take a bend in the knees, flex the feet, and sink back into the heels, opening through your chest and shoulders, and then set yourself back up in your Dandasana. We're taking this 3 times, so we'll walk in a little closer. This time, hands beside the hips. Draw there. So before we hit our hands a fair way back, this time it'll be right beside the hips. I'm pointing the toes, drawing forwards. Take a bend in the knee. Inhale, lift your tabletop position. Open the chest and shoulders, hang the head. And as you sink the hips towards the heels, you'll explore that beautiful deep opening through the shoulders and the chest. Sink back into your seat. And final round here, yogis, we're taking a switch with the hands for this final round, keeping it beside the body once more, but now the fingertips are extending towards the back of the room. And point the toes, drawing through for that tabletop position. You should have a whole lot more space for this final round to open. As you sink back into your heels, open through the chest, hang the head nice and heavy. And then swinging back to find your seat. Parsvakonasana, we forward fold. Hang the head heavy, release through the back body. You might take a grip on the ankles, the outer blades of the feet, or find a pistol grip on the toes. Either way, working with the breath to completely surrender here for 3 rounds. And final breath and unravel the spine. And let's draw up out of our seat, taking a cross of the legs, finding a Sakasana as our transition. We'll roll over the knees, take the big toes together, and come into our first wide-legged Balasana now. Sinking down through that midline, forehead towards the mat, 1 breath. And slowly draw the gaze to rise, and we'll take a walk all the way across to the right side. We'll stay inside that right knee, using that as a bit of a guide, a barrier. You'll sink down on the left side and slide the right hand in, gazing over that right shoulder. You should find a beautiful big side release here and gentle twist. Content those right fingertips and really melt that left side of the rib cage and the tricep into the mat. As you inhale, next breath, squaring it back off with the shoulders, and slowly take a walk across to the left side. And finding yourself off that left side of the mat, hands nice and wide, shoulder width apart initially. As you find the left side of the rib cage inside that left thigh, this time you melt the right side and slide the left fingertips in towards the knee, melting down through the right side of your rib cage, that whole right side of body as we gaze over the left shoulder. Beautiful, big, deep side body stretch. Square it off, find yourself aligned, and slowly draw back up to center. Yogis, from here, we're going to be coming back via that tabletop position and press into the hands, body now fully prepared. And tabletop position presses us into that plank. Hips to the sky, your down dog. And this time from your down dog, we'll plant the left toes. And just as we did before, draw the heel of the right into the hip. Let's open and find that scorpion gaze under that right side for a moment. You should have a whole lot more space now. Square it off, and we're going to take that right foot between the hands, sinking down in the pelvis nice and deep as you melt the hips. We're going to be finding our peak pose now, so have that strap nice and handy. All of the postures prior have prepared us for this moment. And from here, we're taking that right hand inside that right foot, and we'll take a rotation on the left to draw down so that we've got a 45-degree angle with that back foot. Right knee is at a 90-degree angle. And from here, we're taking the extension through the left side. I like to spiral to open up. So if you sweep that left hand overhead to really draw your left shoulder to open, and then take the extension with that left arm. So you're looking for a 45-degree angle from your left fingertip all the way through to that right heel. So as you sink down into your lunge, feeling into that alignment, 45-degree angle. And then from here, we're going to find our bind. We'll sweep it overhead and allow the left hand to nestle to the back of the leg. Feel into the balance between your feet. Scissoring action for the pelvis as you draw them together. We'll become light through that right side and then sweep beneath, maybe finding a grip, a bind. I'll switch once more to the other side to show. So you're looking to find that connection beneath the legs. Using your body as the tool, press the back body into that right knee. Press the knee into the body. Draw open and gaze under, over that left shoulder. Release the bind, square it off, hands to the mat. And we'll drop into that left knee, taking a gentle little rock and roll as your counter. Yogis, our peak posture today, our Uthitta Parsvakonasana. We're going to take that once more on that side before we draw to the other side. Enjoying this little counter. Take it once more. Plant the right foot. Let's take that right hand inside the right foot, tuck those back toes, lift out of the knee. Rotate and drop the left heel down, 45-degree angle with the back line. Right hand's planted, left hand nice and light. Sweep it, big cycle to the back of the room, opening that left side body and drawing the left shoulder to stack on top of the right. Sink the hips, find that diagonal line. One more breath. Sweep it back overhead. Allow that left arm to drape in the low back. Light through the right fingertips. We release, draw down, connecting beneath into the hands, or maybe finding the strap. You're here for 2 more breaths. Draw open, gazing over that left shoulder. One more breath. Release the bind. Hand to the mat, sweep it overhead, square it back off. We'll sink down into that back knee. Release out and take a full Hanumanasana as your counter. Let's walk it back into that lunge. Tuck the back toes, release the back knee, step it back. Drop the knees and we'll find that 8-point plank we found at the start. Ripple through center, this time simply drawing into your cobra. Settle and find stillness. Slowly take it back, your child's pose. Stay for a breath. And slowly draw back to rise, your hero's pose. Yogis, you have one final side to close out. Let's explore the left. Tabletop position, we begin. And plant the hands, tuck the toes. And plank pose, one breath. Exhale, hips to the sky, your down dog. And plant the right. Tuck the left and draw it into the sit bone. Slowly peel it open to the sky and find that scorpion gaze beneath the left armpit, inviting that rotation. Square it off. Left knee through the midline and plant the left foot and sink nice and low in the pelvis. Find a little pulsing sensation here to awaken. And then we step that left hand inside the left foot. You can walk it out a little to create some more space. Rolling out on that right foot. We hug the left knee into the left shoulder. We press the left arm into the left knee. Light through those right fingertips, sweeping it back overhead. You can stay planted in that hand or draw to rise, tenting into that left hand. As you sweep overhead, you're encouraging that right shoulder to open. Take it overhead and find your extended Uthitta, side angle pose, your Uthitta Parsvakonasana. Let's find the bind as you send it back towards the back of the room, hanging that right arm, light through the left fingertips, sweep beneath. Find the bind and open your here for 3 breaths, drawing the gaze over that right shoulder. One more. Slowly release the bind, plant the left hand, take it overhead, and drop into that right knee. Gentle little rock and roll. Your counter, your Hanumanasana. Couple more times, feeling into that little release and preparing your final posture. Final posture, final side. Left hand embeds next to left foot. Let's tuck the toes, find our lunge, rotate that back foot, maybe tempt the left fingertips. Light through the right, sweep it to the back of the room and overhead. And find your side angle stretch, palm is down, gazing under that right armpit as you stack the shoulders. Take a sweep overhead to the back of the room, hang the right arm to the back body. Light through the left fingertips, let's rise and find the bind. Open as you gaze, strong posture here. Your ray of light comes when you're under pressure. Feel into this pressure for one more breath. Feel into the bind. Release the left. Sweep it overhead, square it off. And as you drop into that back knee and slowly take a walk back, we find a full Hanuman here. Well, it's a half Hanuman. Full Hanuman would be splits. Your Ardha Hanumanasana. Let's slowly walk it back into that lunge. Plant the hands, release out of the knee. Step it back. Drop the knees and take your knees, chest, chin slowly lower. Ripple through center. Reset yourself, planting the hands. Draw up into that beautiful big cobra. And take a little rock and roll here, releasing through the spine. Yogis, as we press into the hands and draw back, we're going to come back in to that Balasana restorative style as you take your hands with you and rest them beside the feet. Hang your head nice and heavy. And take a few breaths here to come back. Taking a few breaths to collect yourself. As you sigh it out with each exhale and you soften into this seat. When you feel ready, slowly unravel the spine and draw to rise into your hero's pose, just as a transition. And take it off to the hips. And we will meet in a Sakasana. Finding yourself set up in your Sakasana, your easy cross leg. Open the knees and draw the soles of the feet open. Give yourself a little bit of space between the heels. We're going to work here with the hands upon the knees. To inhale, open the spine, open through the chest. Take the gaze to the sky, open through the throat. As you exhale, curl in, round down, soften through the back of your head, your neck. Sink back into your seat. We'll take that just twice more, working with your breath. Inhale, open. Exhale, close it all off, drawing in. Once more, inhale, open. Exhale, sink in. And this time, as you inhale and draw to rise, we find a neutral spine. And taking 3 Sufi grinds as you work through to unravel the spine, we'll begin drawing this right shoulder towards the right knee, and then melt the body forwards through center. Left shoulder, left knee. Circling it to the back of the room, releasing through the back body. Open through the front body as you pull forwards. Open the shoulders, the throat. Hang the head and open through the back body. Take it once more this direction. And let's reverse that and take it in the opposite direction. Left shoulder towards the left knee as you draw down. We'll hang the head nice and heavy, taking the full cycle to the back body, now opening through the throat. Exhale, roll it in. We take these revolutions twice more. And allowing the ripple and the energy of the spine to slowly unravel itself. The left shoulder back towards that left knee. Find yourself centered. Inhale, stack the spine. Yogis, as a dedication to Marichi, born from the mind, as he would take his seat in meditation. Today we take our seat in meditation to close out our practice. Flip the palms and allow the backs of your hands to rest over the knees. Open palms, maybe connecting the index finger to the thumb, releasing the remaining 3 fingers. Or open the entire palm. We release our conscious breath. We find ourselves in our seat of meditation, our seat of stillness. And it's from this seat, as we find stillness, And that we open ourselves and expose ourselves as a vessel ready to receive the rays of light. And if you have the benefit of time at home, please hit pause now and take this seat of meditation for as long as you possibly can. And otherwise, and find your hands in prayer at heart center. Turn your focus and your gaze inward to your inner sanctuary, and your inner state of peace, and that which shines, that bright burning light from your core. And yogis, as you come back to connect to the breath, and as you turn that focus and gaze inward, know that that sage Marichi and that ray of light and the energy that he holds, created by Brahma just as you were too. And that ray of light resides within you, and you can choose to share that ray of light with yourself and with each other. And as you leave the four corners of your mat today, may you shine bright, and may you take your ray of light to shine upon all those you come into contact with. Thank you for sharing your light with me today, yogis. Namaste.